Hiding an army is pretty hard in EU4. Even if you turn off the ledger, between MP sessions, people can check your country and see it. Furthermore, the AI possesses this wonderful ability called Vibes, which lets it detect when you have a large or small army, letting it act accordingly. Granted, if you keep the ledger on, which it is on by default in single play, you can also access this Vibes-based technology. But yet I wonder, is there a place you can actually hide an army? Well, indeed there is. Fort garrisons have one main job, defending your forts. But there is a little button which lets you spend some mill points and tells the garrison to come out to the open field and join the battle. This can be a neat tool to get a couple thousand extra troops into the combat of a rather thin battle and ensure your final victory. However, we can take this to the extreme. How many troops can we have inside a garrison for our secret hidden army? Alright, before we get into the video, usual quick disclaimers: I'm mode compatible, standard setup, and no customations. That's actually about it, but before we do start, a like on the video would be appreciated if you haven't already, and a subscription would be amazing. I'm currently operating on a desire to hit a rather incredible goal of 30,000 subscribers before the end of the year. A high target indeed, but it would be incredible if we get there. So your subscription, if you haven't, would be appreciated. With that all said, enough self-shilling, we begin this journey with natives. As always, everyone loves playing natives. In this case, anyone in America would do. However, for start points, the Native Americans quote-unquote in Australia would also work. I'm going to pick these chaps because they're on an island. Very simple task next, you need to go ahead and annex China. But before you do, make sure you take the settle down government reform, as without it, when you do annex China, well, they'll disappear. But indeed, with China annexed, you're able to go ahead and release some players to Ming. This does unfortunately abolish the Mandate of Heaven. See, now that we are a native Ming, we're able to go ahead and grab indigenous ideas, which we'll need. With that said, let's get the ideas out the way. As mentioned, go ahead and grab indigenous, followed by humanist, and then go ahead and grab defensive, followed by infrastructure. Then we're going to need quantity, and to round everything off, innovative ideas, as this will give us access to the following, with defensive ideas giving 33% garrison size, and by the people for 10% garrison size, bolster defense sect for 25% garrison size, and of course the garrison system, which gives us 15% garrison size. Also at this point, our forts are practically free. However, we need to go ahead and get some reforms sorted. Now, do be a bit careful. Taking any of these, for example Clan Council, does unfortunately uncolonize your land, so bear that in mind. But it's okay, when you take land attrition and then get the tier 3 reform, where you settle down, you do get your land back. Oh no. That's unfortunate. Well, I guess bear that in mind. Well, first time I tested this, I did get my land back. Either way, go ahead and become a monarchy. Becoming a monarchy, that's what gives you your land back. Good to know. Yeah, it's a bit awkward. But we need to be a monarchy for a very specific reform. I mean, you can grab even more fort maintenance reduction here if you want, but what we're actually looking for is the tier 5 defensive stance, giving us 20% more garrison size. Finally, it's monuments time. You will need to convert the province of the Great Wall of China to your primary culture. Here we're going with Cantonese just for the fun of it, as this will let you actually build the Great Wall of China, giving you 25% global garrison size. But that's not all. The Marlborough Castle is also going to give you 25% global garrison size, meaning when we shove a level 8 fort on Beijing, we already have a very impressive 25k garrison. But it gets better. Not only will a rampart be quite helpful here, its presence means that when we grab the nobility privilege expand the fortifications, we're going to gain expand the ramparts as well as expand the fortification, which comes with, you guessed it, 20% more garrison size, as well as even more fort maintenance reductions. I mean, realistically at this point, the fort is paying us. I'm not kidding, not only do we have a global minus 100% fort maintenance reduction, this province is having a minus 120%. However, there's a reason we're doing this as the main, and that's for one very specific mission. This one here, which is going to give us +2 fort level on Beijing. Which, when we get this, gives us +2 fort level, meaning we're now a level 11 fort. In this is absolutely stunning, as we now have 32,780 garrison. Does take a while to recover, unfortunately. Now, Iberia does have access to some holy orders that will help with this. Unfortunately, those not only require you to be Catholic and Castilian, for example, or another Iberian culture, which would be entirely doable for a purpose of a video like this. There is a second problem: you need to be an actually Iberian cultured nation to perform this, meaning it is not possible to get both the Holy Order and then any release and play shenanigans. I tested, I couldn't get to work to actually basically have the Holy Order as well as this modifier present on the province. Bear in mind, you lose this the moment you're no longer Ming or the province ever gets sieged, it just goes away. So unfortunately I'm going to say that I don't think it's possible to pick up any of the Holy Orders for the extra garrison size. But those Holy Orders are an excellent segue into the next topic, namely actually using the secret army. Well, the sending out button is your friend here, which lets you pop them out on top of the enemy trying to siege it down. But this garrison has no cannons, which is bad, but it makes up for this by being affected by a very fun modifier, garrison army damage. As of a recent update, garrison army damage doesn't just make the garrison defend the fort better, but when the troops pop out, it also now gives them the buffs when they do. And how good are these buffs? Well, it turns out plus 50% garrison army damage is actually effectively the same as plus 50% infantry combat ability. You can get 50% from the influence defensive policy, for example, as well as, of course, the Kazan Kremlin, which gives you a global 100% garrison army damage buff, which is incredible. There are also 2 holy orders which provide you with bonuses to garrison army damage, the Order of the Dragon available for the nations in the Balkans, as well as an Iberian specific one. Basically, you can make your garrison's pop-up army have such an insane amount of effective army quality, it becomes downright stupid. To add insult to injury, your fort troops are still affected by your normal military modifiers, so you know, your discipline, your morale, and of course, your infantry combat ability. You can in practice use this to create a godly Maginot Line a couple thousand years early, and indeed that is exactly what my good friend the student did in his video for this fine Montag, where he created a fort that fights back, and then some. Make sure you check that video out. But that is all I have time for today. Thank you very much for watching, with a special thank you to my channel members, especially Ark, Solar, Salamon, W Haste, Sebastian Haller, Cherndock 2.0, Nick Huss, Dark Fortuna, Big Salad, Lev Joss, Gay Fug, Clockwork Norse, Golden Arrows, and Nan Hatan.